The National Football League is the most followed sports franchise in the United States, bringing in more than $13 billion in revenue just last year, and regularly reaching tens of millions of Americans in their homes every playing season. But today the league is mired in political controversy, sparked by this player and his decision to take a knee for the U.S. national anthem. Colin Kaepernick, a free agent quarterback, says he's doing it to protest police violence against African Americans and to help highlight the injustice the African American community faces every day.
As I've been in the community, I've seen those things, I've heard those things, and now, okay, how do I best maximize my platform and my resources to help these people?
Kaepernick's critics say he should keep his protests off the field. The most notable among them is U.S. President Donald Trump.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired!
Since the president's comments, more people have been kneeling in solidarity with Kaepernick, from near entire NFL teams to protesters in the streets, and even the famed U.S. musician Stevie Wonder before a concert. Taking a knee is now a symbol in America's ongoing and tense conversation on race and justice. And the U.S. president's comments on the matter have raised the question of whether the right to peaceful protest can ever be denied. Basil Rehan, The Newsmakers.
Happy to inform you, I'm joined now by Ilyasa Shahbaz. She's the daughter of Malcolm X and is carrying on his legacy as a social activist, an author, a community organizer, and a college professor. Good to talk to you. Welcome to Istanbul.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Taking a knee. It's a powerful symbol when Colin Kaepernick does it, when anybody else does it. Is it necessary? Is it important to do so right now?
Well, I think it's important for young people to show compassion, care, especially if you have a large platform. I think it's important that you inspire as many people as possible to right the wrongs in any society.
Mm-hmm. When I look at Black Lives Matter, at the heart of it all, they talk of systemic oppression. They say that these incidents of usually young black men being killed by police officers in encounters happens because of a systemic racism. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I would. I think, again, once we are better informed on the significant contributions that people of the African diaspora have made, that it would make a big difference.
Yeah. For those on the outside looking in, and I've lived in the United States for many years, but a lot of people here, I mean, the shock that they experience when they come across the fact that there's massive protests, or they see the situation in Charlottesville, and they see Antifa versus, the alt-right, and there's talk of America being a racist country. They're a little bemused because they think, well, there was an African-American president just recently up until this president. There are no Jim Crow laws on the books. African-Americans are not forced to the back of the bus. Is America really a racist country?
When you look at what happened, the psychological trauma endured for so many hundreds of years, one cannot think that it would just magically disappear, especially without education, without, work.
Mm-hmm. Does it happen bottom up or top down?
I think it has to happen from the bottom up, and especially from the top down. I think everyone has to work together.
You say especially from the top down. The Commander-in-Chief, the President, Donald Trump, with him at the helm, are the next few years just a write-off, or will they maybe get worse, given the things that he's said and the things that he's encouraged?
Well, I think that what has happened is it has caused communities and the people underneath to come together. It's an opportunity for so many people to have discussion and to determine what's going to happen next.
Given everything that your father stood for, and he's revered around the world, people love your father. If he had been alive today to witness the United States in the year 2017, how would he have felt about what he saw?
Well, I think, the beauty of my father is that he was goal-oriented. So he didn't just march, and he didn't just have a demonstration or just speak. He had a goal at the end of whatever it was he was seeking to do. And so I really don't believe if my father was alive that we would be in this predicament that we're in, because the same challenges that were facing us 50 years ago are the ones that he brought to light. And so he was working to end most of these, traveling the world to address the human conditions that would oppress its fellow brother or sister based on one's melanin, based on one's religion, based on one's sex.
As a father of young girls who went into the American public school system, I was intrigued to know that they learned nothing about Malcolm X, really. I mean, and no disrespect to Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., but when things were taught in terms of civil rights or the African American experience, it was Rosa Parks, MLK, and so on. Very little or no Malcolm X. In the case of my daughters, no Malcolm X. Why do you think that's the case?
Well, my father was focusing on the human rights violations that were committed and taking the superpower up on to the United Nations for violating the human rights of its citizens. That was pretty big. And so I think that, again, it's important to talk about the truths, historical facts of our education, of our history, and presenting facts. And when you present the facts, and you see all the good that Malcolm stood for. I mean, he was a young man, only in his 20s when the world learned of him, only 39 when he was gunned down. And look at all that he sacrificed and all the work that he did, for everyone to come together.
Very finally, is there anyone you can identify in American society today where you think that person's got the spirit of my dad?
Oh, I think there are many young people who have the spirit of my father. Yeah.
Ilyasa Shabazz, I thank you very much for joining us on the Newsmakers.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you.